Hey, let's jump on, talk a little bit about Indiana's win on the road at Iowa. Wow, Indiana had to survive this one. The Hawkeyes played a terrific football game. They played with a lot of energy. They won the battle at the line of scrimmage, in my opinion. They were just as physical and tough at the line of scrimmage as Indiana. And the Hoosiers had to come up with a big play, Mendoza to Surratt, to win this football game. But they came up with it. And you've got to give credit to the Hoosiers. I mean, it's always tough playing your first road game as a nationally ranked team, nearly a top 10 team, taking on a pretty good football team in Iowa. You survive, and that's what it's about. You got to find a way to put this in the win column and move forward. Indiana was not the same proficient offense that we saw against Illinois a week prior, but Illinois wasn't the same team as what we saw against IU today against USC. What a win by Illinois. They kicked the final field goal, game ending, buzzer beating field goal to knock off USC after blowing a pretty significant lead late in that contest. Illinois had a fumble late down close to the goal line that would have put the game away. Instead, they gave USC life. USC goes down the field, scores, takes a 1-point lead, and then Illinois wins it on the game-winning kick. That was a lot of drama for Illinois, and then it was followed up by Indiana getting the victory. A missed field goal by Iowa. Who expected that? We all thought that was almost a given, that Iowa was going to kick the field goal and take the lead. Instead, it's a shank to the left, or at least a miss to the left. And then eventually, Indiana comes back. Perfect play call. Absolutely the right call in the right situation. Iowa was showing what they wanted to do on that final drive. They wanted to blitz. They were going to blitz. They were going to try to get to Mendoza to disrupt his timing because they didn't feel like they could cover well enough to overcome Mendoza's accuracy. So they were going to have to force Mendoza to rush a throw. And it was working primarily for Iowa. But Indiana finally got it figured out that that's what Iowa was going to do defensively. They were going to come with a blitz, and so they set up with man-to-man. Elijah Surratt, man-to-man against the corner. That's not a good matchup for any corner, as Surratt's one of the best receivers in the Big Ten, and he gets the quick slant, perfectly put on target, in stride. Surratt makes the catch. The tackle was missed, and that's what you can't do. If you're going to be man-to-man and the guy's going to make a quick catch like that in front of you, you have to wrap and take him down. Iowa didn't do it. Indiana reaped the reward and end up with a big touchdown and a victory. What the hell happened at the end of that football game? Does anybody know about that rule? Because I don't know why they kept blowing the play dead. Indiana clearly wanted to delay going to one knee in the victory formation. They wanted to drop Mendoza 3-4 steps deep into the backfield as Iowa applied pressure. Then Mendoza would go to a knee. That would burn 5 or 6 seconds of play. Instead, they were only burning 2 or 3 seconds of play because the officials were blowing the play dead very quickly before he went down and gave himself up. And as a result, Iowa was thinking maybe they could force it into a fourth down situation where they could get the ball on downs, or they would force Indiana to have to consider punting the football. And of course, Curt Cignetti was upset about it. I didn't get what they were doing, but apparently there's a rule, and I don't know. I haven't had a chance to look this up, but apparently there's a rule, something to do with the drama late. But you know it. Yeah, Ryan, you're right. This is exactly Iowa football. They defend you. They try to keep it low scoring. They try to burn a lot of time with their offense to limit the amount of time your offense is on the field, the number of plays you're able to run. And eventually then they try to win a game late against a team that they don't feel can handle the pressure of a close game late. And that's what Iowa thought. They thought Indiana wasn't going to be able to handle the pressure of a close game down the stretch. Indiana was the better team in a close game down the stretch. Iowa choked with the kick, the field goal that missed. Indiana executes on a huge play with Mendoza hitting Surratt on that quick slant. Overall, though, I thought Indiana's offensive line was very meh. Yes, they rushed for over 100 yards, but I thought the physicality at the line of scrimmage was pretty much equaled. And I thought after the game against Illinois that Indiana had a pretty elite offensive line. Now I think they've got a good offensive line, but I'm starting to have doubts on whether their offensive line can match up against teams like Ohio State, Penn State, maybe Oregon. But we'll learn more about Oregon tonight when they play Penn State in the whiteout game. I'm going anti-whiteout. I'm actually going black and gray today, so I'm just completely anti-whiteout. But Oregon Penn State should be a very interesting game to kind of measure these teams and what you think of them against teams like Ohio State, who we've had a chance to see on the national stage, and Indiana, who we've seen now a couple of times, although today, I guess, wasn't really the national stage because they were on Peacock, forced to Peacock because of the Ryder Cup, which had NBC occupied. We knew going into the Ryder Cup, by the way, that the U.S. wasn't going to come close in this. That, I mean, you look at the lineups and the rosters of the two Ryder Cup teams, and it's all Europe. I mean, what do they have, like 10 of the top 12 golfers? I mean, if I rank them, probably about 10 of the top 12 as of season's end are on the European team. So, and Scotty Scheffler hasn't played that great. So you've got, the best American who's not actually doing anything to dominate. So that's not going well. Looks like Europe's going to easily take the Ryder Cup. All right. So Fever last night let one get away in the fourth quarter. That's depressing because they had the home crowd, the support. They had all of the momentum late in that third quarter. They had battled back from an early deficit. They had the lead. Looked like they were going to be ahead going to the fourth quarter. And then all of a sudden, an implosion. They just totally. And somebody tell me how Aaliyah Boston, because I didn't have a chance to watch this game, saw highlights. But how can Aaliyah Boston, who doesn't shoot more than 5 feet away from the basket, go 5 for freaking 16 in this game? 5 for 16. I said before the season, I'll say it again. Aaliyah Boston is the Indiana Fever's Miles Turner was to the Pacers. Somebody that puts up enough production that you really doubt that you can move forward without them, but yet is not the kind of player that you can build a championship around. Has to be a role player, and when you have to count on her for anything more than that, she's not going to deliver for you. Last night certainly didn't deliver. Kelsey Mitchell wasn't great in that game last night. And so the combination didn't work out for the Indiana Fever, but they did put themselves in a position, despite not having their best game, Vegas not playing particularly well. The Fever did put themselves into a position late in the third quarter, but let it all slip away. An 18-3 run by the Las Vegas Aces put this one in the victory column for the visitors. And now Vegas just one win away from advancing to the WNBA Finals. Once again, what do you think about Indiana? It's bye-week time, and then they get to prep for Oregon. They're going to have a chance, probably, I assume, on the plane they'll be able to watch. If not, they'll be able to get plenty of film work on Oregon. It's a trip out to Oregon, Autzen Stadium, coming up next for the Indiana Hoosiers. And, this was a good one to go into the bye week. You had a very physical game. You had a game where some things might have been exposed. I didn't think it was a great play calling game from Shanahan's part. I thought it could have been called better. I thought they were a little predictable on early downs with the number of runs that they went to. I think they've got to trust Mendoza on first down more often. Quite honestly, I didn't think it was a great game all around for Indiana, but I've got to give a lot of credit to Iowa because I thought Iowa played really emotional, hard football. And I got to give them credit. But down the stretch, Kirk Ferentz was banking on the fact that if they could keep it close, they had an advantage against Indiana because Indiana wasn't accustomed to having a close game late. And Indiana was the one that made the play that made the difference. Once again, love to have you subscribe to the channel. We try to go live every Sunday and still working out details for tomorrow. But we plan on going live once again, joined by Adam Lundy, hopefully with his availability. But we also keep you up to date on everything happening in Fort Wayne area sports. Now, Notre Dame, real quick. That wasn't much of a game against Arkansas. I thought this could be a challenge for Notre Dame, but they're a team that kind of came together offensively. Arkansas is just a bad defense. They don't do a whole lot well defensively, and Notre Dame just ran it up against Arkansas. And I'm not meaning that they ran up the score intentionally. I'm just saying their offense was just in a different league than Arkansas's defense. And here's another thing. Do we believe that the SEC is still the top football conference? Because right now, I don't think so anymore. I think there's more talent and more depth, perhaps in the Big Ten, than there is in the SEC. I think some of it is that NIL's affected that. I mean, there's only so much money to go around with each program. And now all of a sudden, if you start balancing the money, you balance the talent. And I think there's just as much talent and as many talented teams in the Big Ten as what there is in the SEC. I'm not so 100% sold on the SEC being the strongest conference anymore in America in football. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. You can leave a comment here on the video, and we would love to hear from you. Get your thoughts. But Notre Dame had no problem whatsoever with Arkansas. In fact, and that's my point, is Notre Dame had a lot more problems with Purdue than they had with Arkansas. So, and they played Purdue at home. So you can figure that one out on your own. All right, high school football last night. What is going on with Snyder? That's the big question. They played uninspired football. They looked lethargic. They looked like they didn't really come with attitude at all. There's always been a swagger with the Snyder football program. Didn't see swagger last night. Didn't see a lot of confidence. Didn't see a lot of effort. I mean, it was just a lethargic performance by the Snyder Panthers, and Homestead took full advantage. Credit to the Spartans because they were really good last night, and they beat Snyder 38-0. Also credit to Northrop. They were down big. I think it was 20-6 in the fourth quarter. And they came back and won that football game. And or it was 18-6. Whatever it was a 2-score game. And Northrop rallied late to beat Bishop Dwenger. And so the Bishop Dwenger defense couldn't hold Northrop forever, and Northrop eventually was able to break through and get the win against the Saints. So you've got the ultimate logjam in the standings in the division, the A division of the Summit Athletic Conference now, where you have Carroll, Northrop, Dwenger, and Homestead all sitting with 3-1 conference records. And two of those 3-1s will match up this week when the Homestead Spartans travel to Carroll, and that will be the 1380 The Fan Midwest Box Breaks high school football game of the week. And I hope you tune in for that. I'm going to be away. My daughter's getting married next weekend. I'm so proud. I'm so excited about this. It's my only daughter, so it will be a very special day next week. And looking forward to that. I will not be at the football game Friday night, but somebody will be bringing you play-by-play in my absence of the Homestead Spartans and the Carroll Chargers. Thanks so much to so many of you that jumped on. Once again, be sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and like this video. And also make sure you share the channel because we're still trying to grow. We're just kind of in our infancy stages. We haven't even hit 6 full months yet. Everybody says, well, on YouTube, it takes 4 or 5 months till the algorithms start to catch up with you. Well, I'm at that point where we're getting close, and it would certainly help if we get some momentum with your help. So could you please subscribe, like, and share the channel. Appreciate you very much. Have a great Saturday night. Enjoy the whiteout game, and we'll talk to you live tomorrow. Make sure you follow me on X, Brett Rump Sports. Brett Rump Sports, BRETTRUMPSPORTS. And follow me on X to find out the details of exactly when we will go live tomorrow. And because the Colts have kind of a funky start time, so we've got to shift some things around. But you've got the Fever, you've got the Colts. We might do a late Sunday night to recap both of those. But anyway, hope you have a great Saturday night. Have a great Sunday morning. And we will talk to you again